to ask, I guess there's only three of us, so I guess Louis, if you can lead us in the pledge, and Bill, if you'll lead us in prayer first, and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible. Again, welcome everybody. And let's go ahead and start this. We need approval for the November 19th minutes. Has everybody had time to look over that? Got a motion by Louis and a second by Commissioner Winters. All in favor, say aye. Aye. You vote unanimous. Agenda items. Let's start with staffing updates. Chief?
Yeah, staffing updates right now. We have 6 inside of our rookie school that they are just in the second week of that rookie school, which they're going to be mostly at the Dalton Pike area. Sometimes they'll come up on Emma Street, but it's going very well. So really enjoying it. So it's actually the beginning of our second week. So I've had 1 week out of the way.
And what I'm hearing, these are a good set of crew, or a good crew that we've got this new.
Yes, good crew. We hired 2 of our own volunteers, and 2 with no experience, and then 2 from other volunteer departments around the area.
Good deal. Any questions?
Yes.
So with that, we'll be fully staffed.
That's fully staffed, yes.
Chief, you're doing an excellent job keeping us staffed, that's for sure. And the mayor also, as I was speaking earlier, the fire department falls under the mayor's office, so the mayor's doing an excellent job working with you to keep that tab. New building move and preparation, how is that going so far?
We have worked on the parking lots. We've got the large parking lot on the south end of Menace Road Station. That's done, the grade work, and it's got gravel parking on it. We're trying to get some big trucks on that to, get that settled. And then we've got a smaller area behind the building that we had covered with gravel right now, and doing the same thing for it, trying to get it settled in. And looks like some markers are going up out there, but so far so good.
Is there any questions?
Hopefully in the new budget, we'll have funding to either pave or concrete parking lot. Hope. That would come before they actually start training out there.
Commissioner Alford?
They haven't started any dirt work on the new building or anything yet?
No, sir.
I've marked it off or nothing?
It's just marked off right now. Yep.
And
Mayor, do we have any idea when they might get started on that?
the building is ordered, and they plan on doing the groundwork and all that sometime in the spring, in time to be ready for the building when it's delivered summer.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the internet fiber optics update.
I'm not sure if it's what I had something in mind, but with that, with the internet, we were just trying to reach out to, we have 13 stations right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we'll go back down to 12, but we were trying to reach out in some of our rural areas and trying to update those and get internet in some of those buildings. Some of those areas don't have internet. You know, it's such rural areas, so we're trying to, and there's so many different VEC, you know, there's so many different branches out there, Cleveland Utilities,
Mm-hmm.
AT&T, those kind of things. So we're really trying to push that to get those in the buildings, the internet in the buildings, all the buildings. Try to beef up some of our reporting systems and at those buildings, because we're getting good little crowds back at those buildings in those rural areas. So.
Okay. Are there any questions? Yes.
How do we communicate now if we don't have internet for those rural areas?
So those, our reporting system is in our paid staff building. So all the paid staff have that.
Okay.
some
This is
of our,
volunteers.
yeah, and some of out in our rural areas, we're trying to beef up some staffing, meaning volunteer shifts, shift work, and things like that. We're trying to have more activities out in there in those stations. So having a little bit of internet would help, and they can actually help with some of the reports and if need be.
In your volunteer group, do you have a leader in that building?
Yes.
That's who you contact?
Yeah.
That's, rather than internet, you would contact if there's some kind of situation.
Started to ask, have you guys looked at the satellite internet by any chance?
Not.
It may be something to look into. I don't know if it'd be better, worse, cheaper. I don't know anything about it, really. Just that it's out there. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
Might mention a little better participation with volunteers in recent months.
Yeah, we've had a lot better participation in the volunteer side of things. Some of it's just some strategy type ways of doing things, and being more involved. And we're seeing more applicants. So our tri-state mutual aid system has got some grants to help with that retention and the volunteer side of things. And so we're now seeing a few more people reach out to want to be volunteers and help in those areas. So, some of those areas are really rural. It's farmland, but not a lot of huge amount of houses out in there. But it's helping through that grant that they do with mutual aid, our mutual aid system.
Good. And I know I love to hear that you hired 2 of our new hirees that's
Yes.
coming from volunteer group.
Yes.
It was pretty impressive.
Yes.
Is
But every
there-
time we do that, we
Take
lower our volunteers, so there's 2 sides to it, yeah.
Yeah, because all those 2, they've been trained up to just as well with the paid side that we trained on the same thing, and so they're a step ahead of things. But yes, it is. It pulls it from the volunteer stations.
Bring them up to speed on grass fires, woods fires recently with the drought.
Yes, me and Grant was just talking about that as we came in over the weekend, especially up in our northwest area. The grass fires is huge right now. We probably had 25 acres on one fire and maybe another 15 on another fire, just a day apart, less than 24 hours. I would say we're running 20 calls a day, and I'd say most of those are brush fires the way it's going right now. We're trying to reach out and, express how much this, don't be burning. Some of this is burning of just trash and things you're not supposed to be burning, and it's got out of control or unattended burning, but it's huge. We also recognized our state forestry. We try to really keep a good relationship with our state forestry. I invited him to our banquet. He was unable to come because he was in Texas, but when we recognized them, the actual state actually recognized them for us recognizing them. They didn't realize how much good communication we've got with the state forestry, and they are a huge help, very much huge help. I like to bring them in one day and just so you can meet them. They cover 2 counties here, and they're out on Harrison Pike and Mountain Road. They're building, but it's pretty big right now with the dry weather. We've strategized to move a few trucks around. Some brush trucks are going to come out of Inman right now, which can go in any direction. So, and then we're trying to pull some shifts at some of the rural areas to be first out real quick with it. So, yeah.
I mentioned that building. That's a beautiful building they're in out there, though. Just that location's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any question?
Curious to ask, is it against the law to have burned barrels in your yard?
No.
I've had several people ask me that.
You can have a burn barrel as long as you're burning natural vegetation in it.
Vegetation, not papers and stuff like that.
That's a state forestry rule too. I mean, we follow that rule. You're not supposed to burn any trash.
Well, I think that's something that needs to be out in public more, because you see them around every once in a while if you're right out in the county, any.
Yeah, there were some that was they just uneducated. They didn't know that they couldn't do that,
Yeah.
So
I thought that was the law, but I just wanted to make it public.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who declares a no burning Who is Forestry Service?
So there.
We do.
Yeah,
Who
so
does?
what that happens is, we can't get it confused. They actually posted this the other day. There's a restrictions and then there's a ban.
Yeah.
Restrictions means there's no permits issued that day.
Mm.
To have a permit, it's got to be big, a 3x3 or bigger. Big, huge pile of leaves, pile of brush. They're not going to issue a permit for that. But if I had a warming fire, I don't have to have a permit for that warming fire. But if there's a ban going on, you can't you can't even use a charcoal grill or, which last ban that we've done was 2016. So,
And who does it?
so the state, along with us as a department, kind of decide and make that decision on a ban. It's very, very strict when you put a ban on. So they just put some restrictions and hopefully it kind of controls it. But
So there, we've had two pretty major fires, you say, out in the county. When does it come up to the level that we need to ban?
we just communicate with forestry, with the state forestry, and they go into, you know, our rain, when they don't have any, the dryness, the wind. It kind of goes in a group of people to make that decision.
Radley County doesn't do a ban, it's through the state forestry service.
I mean, they communicate with us, and, you know, we will come to them and ask for that necessarily, or let's say, last year, you know, we had that 300 acres out on 64. That weak area, very close to putting a ban on. But everything's just a restriction. If you follow us on social media, I try to keep that posted. Forestry will give me a call that morning and they'll say, hey, there's no permits today, like today. And then I try to get that out there and let the community and the county know there's no permits issued for anything 3x3 or bigger.
It goes through the radio, newspaper.
Yeah, I actually try
That's
to
what
share with 104
what you're doing.
with those things too, yeah.
But keep in mind, you only have to have a permit for something bigger than the 3x3.
Yes.
And on a day like this, as dry as it is, windy as it is, you're having a regular fire and it can easily get out. That's what people don't realize. That little bitty fire where they're just burning some few limbs or something becomes a big fire. You might tell them, in case they don't know, what service the forestry provides when they come in to help with these big fires.
Yeah, our forestry, they're the one that issues the permit. We don't issue any permits. There's only 2 or 3 counties in the state that do their own permits, Sevier County being one. But the state forestry will come out. We have a plow here in this county. That plow covers Polk and Bradley and some of Hamilton. So we have a supervisor, a crew of 3, and that plow that's, again, on Harrison Pike. And they just purchased a top 3 truck, and there's only 6 in the state, and one of them is here in the county. So it'll be staged here in Bradley. So that's a huge. But when we go out, they will put, that dozer will put brake lines all the way around that to keep it from jumping and skipping to other properties. Without them, I mean, our crew's what helps with doing the biggest part of the work. But I mean, without them, it could be going sideways quick.
Wow, it's incredible.
Yes, they had 4 plows on 64 a year ago.
Now, I know right now you're not going to get a permit, but how would they get somebody in the public get a hold of whomever to get the permit? What would they just call, or is there something that you fill out on the internet, or what?
You can do it now on the internet, TennesseeBurnSafe.org, and also you can able to call the state forester's office, and they give you that over the phone. Okay. So if you want it for the weekend, you call on Friday and you get it for the weekend.
And you could use the banner to communicate.
Yeah.
That's how.
I can get with
That's the way you do it.
Especially dock times today and things like. Yeah, absolutely.
Oddly enough, my wife's. We had some brush the other day, and my wife's like, "You realize we can't burn? I heard on the radio you can't." So it's like, okay,
we got to keep Grant busy anyway.
Yeah, and just like that one out on 64, just like the mayor said, that started by just a small. It was just a small fire that did not require a permit.
Well, you were talking about a 3x3. I don't know if people realize how small that really is. That's basically a campfire.
A regular campfire is what's going to
really
get out today.
Yep.
You know, and early on I mentioned when we first did the fire tax district,
Mhm.
a lot of people complained, why are you charging me a fire tax? I don't even have a house on that property. But most of their fires, especially this time of year, say most of them, a big percentage of them are grass and woods fires.
Mhm.
So that service is being provided even without a house being on that property.
That's definitely true. Do we have any other questions? We've kind of skipped over we had other business, and I'll ask if there are other business, but I think we jumped straight past the internet and straight onto the other business.
Real quick,
Does it,
real quick too, can I,
Go
I was
ahead,
looking,
please.
sorry, I was looking for the email that I got from that. This is from our state forestry supervisor here in the county. This is from the 300-acre fire. I brought it before, but really not got a chance to talk about it. This is his email that he forwarded to the state office as well as here. He said, this is for the history books. This was 134 acres of forest land, 151 acres of grass and replanted land, which was a total of 285 acres that burned. Again, this is on Horton Road in 64 last year. This was planted trees that was getting ready to be, harvested. Over 4 miles of dozer land installed by the Tennessee Department of Forestry. 19 structures were saved, a total over $3 million. No injuries, no structures lost or damaged. Fire got a total of 4 property owners. Replanted timber loss on 151 acres, over $30,000. 74-acre pine plantation, it was a total loss estimated between $25,000 and $30,000. Other than a few game cameras and tree stands that were burned, I think we did very well. I want to thank everyone that responded and done a job well done. This has surpassed any record for the largest fire in Bradley County. I've been with the Forest Service for 17 years, and I want to share this, and thank you, everyone did a good job. And then he had maps and of the burn areas that he done, so just wanted to
that
share
is
that.
really incredible. Is there any way you could email us,
Sure will.
forward that to if you can give that to Lori and let her send it to everybody, it'd be nice, because I'm sure everyone wants to see that. That's incredible.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any other questions, or out there, anybody? Well, at this time, we'll open up to communication from the audience, and seeing no audience. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We had one more on the agenda.
Radio.
With some mobile radios, me and the mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed over. We went right over that.
We had talked about just some mobile radios that we needed to update coming up. So,
Yes. Do you need anything from this committee at this point, or is it?
mainly, I'm just trying to reach out how we're wanting to do those. This is a big expense. We can either do over a couple of years, or me and the mayor talked about that. Maybe have some strategies at how we want to replace some of these mobile radios. We have over 36 vehicles that would need mobile radios in those, and those range $4,500 to $5,000 to some of these radios. Times that, so it's these are the original radios that we've had in there since we went to the 800 megahertz.
Oh, wow.
So EMA's office is kind of over those systems, and he's kind of encouraging me to push to the newer, updated versions of them. So if something happens to one now, we have to just disregard it and buy another one right then. So just kind of bringing it up.
If you had to plan it out, who would you give first, and who would you give? Would you take your team, and the leaders would get radio, or how would you? You need 5 at a time, 10 at a time, 20 at a
Sure.
time. How do you do that?
So right now, most of the new vehicles that we purchased, especially some like the Georgia trucks that we just purchased 2-engine, those are all on the paid side. So we really want to start on that paid side first, and those newer trucks.
How many are those?
Right now, there's about 7 new trucks that we've had, and then we would focus again and continue on finish up on the paid side, and then work our way out.
You start with that group.
Yeah.
Which I was just looking at rough math at 5,036 vehicles. You're looking at 180,000 if we were to pay it right up front.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of money.
And like I said, those are 15 years old. So I mean, it's
Commissioner Blake?
What would they do, the ones that you have? I mean, I get they're old, but I mean, and you have to have fault tolerance, but what will they provide that your current ones don't?
Director Spence is telling me that it's the updated version. So when these hit these towers, it's the load amount that it hits on the towers. So we've got towers throughout the county and throughout the interstate. And that updates those, so our older, it's almost like using an older TV, and it clogs up the system, where these newer ones are a little bit more up to date. The system's a lot better. Right now, I'm pretty sure all the other agencies in the county, they're already, I think they're already buying them and already ahead of the schedule. We're kind of last on the list, so.
Kind of lean into the next piece is if he has to upgrade his, you also have EMS and I don't know if Sheriff Lawson has to upgrade his.
I think they're
massive
probably already doing what we're looking at doing. We should from here on be doing so many a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so by the time we get through it, it's time to start on so they don't get outdated again. But I think that's what the others have already been doing so
So
far.
EMS has already done this.
I think so, yes, and Sheriff. We hadn't with the fire department. We just sort of looked at getting trucks and stuff instead of the radios. But we need, sort of the plan is to do so many a year and probably from here on do that.
Is there any usefulness for the ones that you're going to be doing away? I mean, is there another county that needs them, kind of like we do with those fire trucks sometimes?
So I'd asked Director Spence about that. Some of those, you can trade those in. You can trade the old ones in. And yeah, that's what we're trying to get with Motorola. And there's different options you can do. One, you could keep those, and some of those I'd like to, where it doesn't go on the system, but I can actually put it in a building and save on our mobile radio batteries, and I could just have it in a building and listen and scan the traffic. But we can also trade them in, or we could sell them out. So there's a couple options. Yep.
That's it. Is there any other questions on this? If you will, Chief, if you can, just kind of keep us up to date on it. I know you and the mayor will be working on that issue, and then now you got finance also looking at it, so it's a heads up for them, and we can kind of move forward from there. I think that for the finance side of it, they'll probably need to know all options, what it could cost on either way, whatever you choose to do.
We buy them in quantities and get a volume deal on that.
Yes. And then we've got of course, we have to install. We have to pay someone to install these. Hopefully, what we're trying to do is what we have in the trucks now, we can continue using the same brackets. So it's just, we can just mount it straight to the same bracket and move on.
Is that something, and I know I'm stepping on toes probably, but is that something that you could work with Sheriff's Department? I believe they install their own radios, and I may be wrong, but is that something you'd be able to work with them on?
I don't know if on the big trucks, we probably couldn't get it in their buildings and stuff. We have someone we've
I
had
wasn't
for
even thinking
years that
about your
can
big
install,
trucks.
so some of it could be just plug and play that we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones the people have, the firemen have, those are 2019. We bought those in 2019. So this would be the mobiles in the trucks.
I heard we'll do it. Does that mean full amount, or do you need them broken up between your?
Sorry, if we can get a volume deal and bring the price per radio down, it's worthwhile. I mean, obviously, you have to look at the revenue side.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to see. Hopefully this will work out for us and we can get this
We don't have to
possibly
bid
this
out
coming
or
year
anything, right? I mean,
or this year.
I don't know if it'd be a sole source or not.
it's a very,
State
there's only
contract.
one or two vendors that actually do this, right? So
Their state contract.
Do we have any other questions at this point? All right, now seeing no others, then we'll go to, well, we're past other business, communication from the audience. Yeah, yeah. Well, seeing no one out there, I guess we will adjourn.